Hey everybody, Jacob Suntra, managing editor of FearTheFin.com with Marcus White, staff writer. Hi.
Hello, friend.
Yeah, 21 minutes late because we were talking about Jeff Fisher and the Rams, who are inexplicably leading 3-0 despite their best efforts. All right, well, we're going to talk about a sports team that doesn't make me want to commit suicide, and that's going to be the San Jose Sharks today. Won 3 in a row, pretty convincingly at that. I know a slow start in that game against Florida, but that's a really nice comeback win, obviously. And I think when we talked about previewing this road trip, I think we were hoping that they would get, hey, man, if they can get 6 points out of this road trip, that would be solid. Good work. They've got 6 points out of this road trip, and they've got 3 more games to come. So what's kind of your takeaway from these 3 games?
It's been a nice response to the last 3 games before that. They've played really well these last 3 games. They played some tough teams. Nice win in Washington on Tuesday, and then Florida, like you mentioned, strong comeback. And then Tampa last night really just they controlled the game from the beginning. You had the strange happenings of the disallowed then allowed Patrick Marleau goal, which was as strange of a replay situation as I can remember, but they played very, very well. I mean, you wrote about it this morning. The job Braun and Vlasic did on Steven Stamkos last night was pretty unbelievable. A lot of very encouraging signs on this road trip for sure. It's nice to see them kind of back doing what was making them successful early on in the season, and now they've made up some ground in the division. Only a game behind the division leading Edmonton Oilers, who have cooled down
shockingly.
Yeah,
who would have foreseen this? I thought they were on their way to the President's Trophy.
The Sharks are actually the hottest team in the division now. They are 6-4 in their last 10. The Oilers are 5-4-1.
Good Lord. As good as they've been these 3 games, the fact that 6-4 is the hottest team in the division is the Pacific Division is a garbage fire.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Everyone's welcome. Bring your trash.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the way that they've played, and that game last night that Vlasic and Braun had. If I were them, I would go in, get a nice hard cut of it, and I would send it straight to the Hockey Hall of Fame just in advance, because that's the kind of game that Vlasic in particular is able to have. That's like, oh right, that's why he's one of the best defenders in the NHL. It's because he can have a game where Steven Stamkos is literally invisible. And not just Stamkos, I mean Kucherov also. Just basically, it's like they weren't even there.
They'll send that film directly to Doug Wilson in contract negotiations when his
that also
his
yes
contract is up. I'm sure.
And so really that makes a huge difference, because when the top line of the opposition is invisible, that gives the Sharks kind of carte blanche to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
The Lightning certainly got, the better of the shot count thanks to, some score effect stuff, since the Sharks went up 2-0 pretty early. But I thought the Sharks played really well and played it's kind of a smart game. And, that's something that I like to see from them. They only got 1 power play and they scored on it. So that's great as well. But the fact that they were able to control a game that was played predominantly 5-on-5 is really, really encouraging. The Lightning got a couple power plays, and the Sharks have continued to be able to shut that down. I don't really think that the penalty kill is as good as the numbers right now indicate. I also don't think the power play is as bad as the numbers have indicated, at least as far as rate goes. So I think we'll probably see that kind of even out as the season goes on. But at this point, it doesn't really matter. You'll take the wins where you can get them. So So it is. I think when we talked last time, the biggest news was obviously the Kevin Labanc call-up, and he's now has 3 games. Still looking for his first NHL goal, obviously. Started on the second line. Midway through that second game, he got moved to the third line, played the whole game, I believe, or at least the majority of it on the third line last night. What do you think about the way that he's played so far, and where do you see kind of what's next for him?
Excuse me. I think he's been solid. I think he's had a nice little start to his NHL career. That first game against Washington, I think you could tell there were some nerves, there was some positioning. It felt like he wasn't quite getting, but I thought he's gotten a little better each game. I thought he still had a good game against Washington, even though there were some little iffy rookie moments. Pete DeBoer referred to one of his shifts as a junior shift, which if you're a rookie and Pete DeBoer's your coach, that's not a compliment. But I think it was a good start for him. Now, I wonder about them moving him to the third line if they worry, if they, think that maybe he's not ready. I would also maybe not worry about it as much as I was before the show, because I think the real sign about if they don't want him to go back down was if he was playing on the fourth line. DeBoer likes to roll his top nine pretty substantially. So, I think he's had an encouraging start. I think he fits well with both lines he played on. I think he fits well with Hertl and Marleau. I thought that line actually looked pretty good last night. Marleau, like we said, scored that kind of fluky goal, but I think they all, on paper, their styles kind of mesh together. Marleau providing the speed, even if it's aging. LeBanc, can play along the boards and play that cycle game with Hertl as well, and then Hertl just does so. I think he's had a really underrated start to the season. The puck hasn't gone in a lot for him, but the puck hasn't gone in for a lot of players. So, and I think, honestly, LeBanc on the third line is as much about getting Mikhail Bodker going as anything. I think they're really looking for him to start picking up the slack offensively. I don't think he's been bad, per se, in his short time in Teal, but obviously they expect more than 2 goals by now from him.
Yeah, I think, it's kind of an interesting thing where I guess for me, I see Bodker as kind of a plug guy, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just mean that I don't think that the Sharks should be relying on him for offense, really.
Yeah.
I mean, or relying on him for offense is the key word there. He is there for his scoring, and that's great. You don't need Mikhail Bodker to score 30 goals this year for the Sharks to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And if you think that, then, I kind of wonder if you actually have seen the Sharks play before.
Yeah.
He's on the line with Couture and Donskoy. Those guys are going to get their goals, get their points. Bodker just needs to not screw it up. Don't screw up, man. Go get some goals. Don't make big mistakes defensively, and you're fine. So I kind of get the same sense that you do, and I kind of puzzled by why they seem concerned about that, because the team has been fine without him scoring, and I don't think he's played poorly, at least by underlying numbers or anything, and certainly by the eye test. So I think the goals are going to come from him eventually. And I think it's probably going to come, because in a streak, because that's how scorers are. They're streaky. There's going to be a stretch where he's going to score 5 times in 10 games, and we're going to forget that this was ever a problem. So whatever. I mean, especially with the way the Sharks are playing, the fact that, that's a concern tells me that, the team's doing okay. As far as LeBanc playing on the third line, I think that is kind of interesting, because I think that it puts even more stress on Hertl to be a creator, because he's now got 2 guys on this line that are really not creators. Marleau's not a creator. LeBanc is certainly not, shouldn't be expected to be a creator anyway at this point in his career. And so I don't think you're going to see those goal numbers for Hertl get any prettier, but I think at the same time, I don't think that's what he's being asked to do for the team, and I don't think that the team is worried about that so much. He's there to be a distributor and to, to center the line, to quarterback it. That's, I think we get used to the idea of, center scoring because, we've got guys like Couture play center, or when Pavelski has played center in the past. They're also obviously scoring a lot, but I think that they take on kind of a different role from a traditional center. Yes, they take draws, but they're not the role when the puck is in the offensive zone is not like a typical center. It's almost more like a winger at times. So
yeah.
I guess it's kind of a wait and see thing. I think probably moving him to the third line has more to do with them trying to figure out, okay, hey, where does he fit best? What's it's only 3 games. He's going to get moved around. That's the way it works. So I think that's, a thing. And last night, obviously, he's maybe a little bit fortunate that, the only goal against, I know, was against the Hertl line, but LeBanc wasn't on the ice. Wingels was. And that's good news. Not that I think that means anything, actually, but, I think we've seen that sometimes DeBoer thinks that means something, as far as Nieto being dead now because he was on the ice for, defensive mistake and got scored against, and now, he'll never play again. So something to think about anyway.
Yeah, no, I think too that it's going to be interesting to watch what happens with the fourth line now. According to Kevin Kurz, Melker Carlson left the arena last night in a walking boot. Was seen leaving in a walking boot, which is maybe we're going to see. It's a wait and see thing. It'll depend on what happens and how severe that injury is, because that fourth line's looked really strong together, I think, on this road trip. They had a great game last night before Carlson got hurt. That goal was an excellent, full ice counterattacking goal. It was really nice to see. So, we could see Michael Haley or Matt Nieto draw back in, but I wonder too if they, I wonder if they maybe call another player up. It could seem unlikely, but Kevin Kurz wrote about it. He went to a Barracuda practice, and apparently there's multiple guys that they feel are ready to take that jump into the NHL. Whether or not that happens, I kind of doubt it. But
especially in middle of a road trip, that would surprise me.
Yeah, that'd be a bit of a shocker for
especially
sure.
Because the CUDA are on the road right now too. They were just in Texas yesterday.
Yep. So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. I'd imagine it's probably going to be Haley that plays against Carolina tomorrow or Tuesday.
Not until Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay, so they get some
it's
time
next
off.
Week. So starting next week, they play a game on Monday, and then
yeah, that's right. Yeah, next week they go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, which is
crazy.
Good luck working off that Thanksgiving meal.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what happens with Carlson. I think he's played really, really well recently, and I think it's potentially a pretty big loss if he misses an extended amount of time, just because he helps the depth of their lineup so much.
Yeah, he only played 4 minutes last night. Obviously because he left the ice with some kind of an injury. So hopefully that's nothing serious, because I feel like that fourth line is really kind of finding its identity. And I think that they've been really good together. So I guess naturally, here comes the monkey wrench to kind of mess things up a little bit. If the Sharks do, and I think we're pretty much in agreement that if they do call someone up, it won't be until they get home. Yeah. Who do you think is most likely to come up? Just for some context, Timo Meier scored his first goal last night. I still don't think it's going to be him. I think it would be more likely to be either a Gaudreau or maybe Goldobin, an outside chance. I think that's probably more wishful thinking on my part, though, than it is something that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, I wonder. I think if it's Carlson, they could go in a number of different directions. If they want a fourth liner to replace him, maybe a Gaudreau or a Ryan Carpenter comes up. Otherwise, it's. I wonder what's going to happen, because, I didn't watch the Barracuda game last night. I'm not sure how many points they had, but, going into this weekend, Goldobin's really been playing.
They had a lot.
He's been playing very well.
The CUDA scored 8 goals last night.
Oh, man. I'll check the AHL stats then for him.
Yeah, I have the page open right now.
How many points does he have now in how many games?
Goldobin has 10 points.
Okay.
Daniel O'Regan has 9 points. Tim Heed has 9 points. Gaudreau has 6 points. Chartier has 6 points. Carpenter has 6 points. Bergman has 6 points. Joakim Ryan and Marcus Sorensen each have 5, and Timo's got 3.
Yeah.
And that's 3 in 6 games, whereas the other guys are 7 or 8 games. And LeBanc obviously had 10 points in 6 games, which is ridiculous.
Roy Sommer did say that he told Kevin Kurz that Goldobin is playing the best hockey he's played since he's had him. And he was off to as hard of a start as Kevin LeBanc.
And that's really good news to hear coming from Sommer also, who, first of all, obviously sees him practice and play all the time. But the fact that he's seeing improvement in him, that to me is
that's a good
really,
sign.
really, really good sign. And another good sign is that a lot of these, the points that Goldobin have come on assists. And I know that that's kind of counterintuitive, because obviously, goals are better than I would think better than assists. But I think seeing that kind of his ability to do two things, I think of him more as a goal scorer, but the fact that he's also able to kind of contribute stuff offensively in other ways, I think is, a positive sign. I also, I think in the, I've watched highlights and some film and stuff, and I like how Daniel O'Regan has played as well. He's running a pretty high shooting percentage right now. So, he's not going to be a more than a point a game guy at the NHL level or anything, but I think that he's looked pretty good. And the CUDA as a whole have looked pretty good. This is a good team.
Yeah, no, they're having a nice start to the year. If you're playing in a game where you score 13 goals, that's a lot of entertainment for sure. Coming up on the road trip, San Jose will play Carolina, then St. Louis, and then Arizona.
Yep.
To wrap things up, I guess the other big question hanging over that is: do you think Aaron Dell is going to start any of the games on the road trip? I mean, I see
Carolina.
I see two opportunities for him. I see Carolina and Arizona.
That's what I would do.
And you got 4 games coming up next week. I think it'd be wise to get him at least one start this week, because you're going to play a back-to-back next week, and you're going to play 4 games in 6 days, basically, which is a lot. I think Dell should probably play at least one of these games. Carolina is a good underlying possession team despite their goaltending. I would have thought Arizona was going to be the start for him, but DeBoer started him against the Islanders, and they were a good team last year. So I think he's not necessarily worried about that. I think Tuesday, though, is the prime opportunity for him to start, because Jones has started now 12 straight games.
It's a lot. I should have gone back and counted first, but I know
I can do it.
It's a lot.
His longest stretch last year was 11. I counted that out before a game last week. So I will count right now. Let's see.
So just an update on the CUDA. They're going to be in San Antonio, then they're in San Diego for a couple, and then they're in Bakersfield for a couple before coming back on the and then they're down here in Ontario on the 26th. They're home against Bakersfield on the 25th. So anywho, that's around the time when both teams will be back in San Jose. Not that I think that'll necessarily be imperative for a call-up, but anywho.
He started 11 straight games, Martin.
So he's already matched.
That matches his longest streak of the year from last year.
My guess is that they start him against Carolina. They start Jones against the Blues. And then if the Sharks if the Sharks beat the Blues, and especially if they've beaten Carolina and the Blues, then Dell starts against the Coyotes. If they've lost both of those games, Jones starts against the Coyotes. That's my guess. Yeah,
I think that's a good guess for sure. I think that's a good.
That seems to be the way that DeBoer does things. That is definitely results based in that way, not so much in playing like how the goalie plays, but just as a team kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that would be my guess, and I wouldn't really have a problem with that. But I think definitely you got to start Dell on Tuesday against Carolina. I feel like it'd be kind of a really big missed opportunity to not. And good Lord, I mean, there's like a 95% chance he'll be the best goalie on the ice if Cam Ward is playing. So
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that should be a great game for the Sharks PDO.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Drive up that shooting percentage, baby.
Yeah.
Yep. So these next few games are going to be interesting. I think that there are a couple gimmies, which are games I'm sure they'll lose, and then they'll beat the Blues. That would be my guess, is that they beat the Blues, they lose to the Hurricanes in a shootout, and then they get smoked by the Coyotes, who they'll never beat this year.
Yeah, that's they'll go 0-6 or 0-5 this year against the Coyotes, however many times they play.
Well, listen, they don't play the Sabres enough to lose. And they beat the Sabres, right? So
yeah,
the last year, but anyway. Anywho, okay, wow, so great. So hopefully that Melker Carlson thing isn't anything serious, though, because that would be a pretty big blow for the Sharks, especially if they decide that they want to start Michael Haley again. That would be obviously a huge, huge loss and drop in skill and talent. So hopefully that's not what they end up doing. Let's see, is there anything else? I think that
should about cover it. I mean, I'm excited to see. It'll be an interesting rematch of the Western Conference Finals this week against the Blues. Blues are a lot different. Jake Allen in net as opposed to Brian Elliott. Troy Brouwer gone. David Backes gone. They're a different team, but that'll still be exciting. And I think it's a good test this week because you have 3, quote unquote lower quality opponents. And the Sharks before this road trip struggled with those teams a little bit. They struggled against Calgary. They struggled against Arizona. So they've got another opportunity to go 6-0 on the road, like they did last year. We'll see whether or not that happens. So I'm looking forward to see how they play this week, and then they've got 4 home games the week after. So we're starting to heat up in the schedule and also get to that point where if you're sitting in the playoffs on Black Friday, you're historically, at least recently, in a good spot to make the playoffs again. So excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Nail Yakupov with the Blues. I haven't gotten to see a whole lot of them this year, and I know that Vladimir Tarasenko has been incredible this year so far. And so that's another good kind of rematch between him and Vlasic, who obviously got the better of that matchup in the playoffs. So that'll be a lot of fun to see. The Blues are kind of a weird team that they've got some really fun skill, but at times they still kind of play that stupid heavy game. Like I think there's a smart heavy game and there's a stupid heavy game, and I think the Blues sometimes get suckered into playing more of a Ducks heavy game and less of a Kings heavy game.
Yeah, I think that's a fair criticism for sure.
And they've still got Ryan Reeves is on that team, so the possibility for stupid is very, very high, or dangerous anyway.
I'm stunned Tortorella did not get any kind of punishment for the stuff he said about Ryan Reeves.
Yeah, right. So to be clear, while I think Ryan Reeves is a dangerous hockey player that should not be in the NHL, John Tortorella is a ginormous racist piece of shit.
Yeah, John Tortorella called him the NHL. He's referred to him as that animal, and I just don't. I get what he's. I don't get how you do that. I don't get how you do it. I don't.
I honestly cannot imagine being so out of touch with the greater context of the last 100 years of American history.
I'd say 240, but yeah.
Yeah, how long have we been here? However long that's been.
Yeah.
It's baffling. I guess I'm not surprised that John Tortorella is that big of an idiot and a piece of garbage because, we already knew that. I wish I was more surprised that the NHL didn't do anything. The NHL has a pretty serious race problem, and
I'm surprised it didn't get any kind of coverage really, because his Kaepernick comments went, and maybe that's because they were made to ESPN. His Kaepernick comments went.
The Kaepernick comments were made about an NFL player. It's still the NHL, and the NHL is mostly white, and the NHL media is mostly white.
Yeah.
Listen, I wrote about his Kaepernick comments. I didn't write anything about the Reeves comments. I think I was out of the house the whole day, and then it kind of, it went away, and that's, so, have as much to blame there as anyone else. But yeah, I was also kind of surprised that it didn't get more play, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah.
I never even heard what Ryan Reeves said in response to that, if he said anything. I couldn't even tell you if there was any, comment made. So yeah, I don't know. The NHL was perfectly happy to sweep this under the rug and move on.
Yeah, no, I think they don't mind that it didn't get picked up, but
yep. So I honestly, maybe that has something to do with the reason that they didn't punish him at all. That's the Disney company method of controversy is just don't say anything and it'll go away. The moment you address something is the moment that stuff starts hitting the fan.
Yep, agreed.
Because you've legitimized it. So that's PR 101, kids. You're learning something on this podcast today.
We are an accredited PR institution.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we both have communication degrees, and I went to school with PR people. It's not that hard.
Yeah, agreed.
Not that hard. Mm-hmm. All right. So I guess that's it. We'll hopefully do one of these after the Sharks go 6-0 on this road trip. That would be nice. What do you think?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it. Until next time, you can follow Marcus on Twitter at Marcus P. White. Follow me on Twitter at Jake Sundstrom and at Fear the Fin. We have a few different articles on the website today. We had one of our writers was at the game in Tampa last night and wrote a view from the seats article. Then I wrote about a Vlasic game and Braun's game, obviously. Now Braun's going to be the underrated one who hates me. Yes, all right. So enjoy your weekend. I'm going to enjoy watching Jeff Fisher fuck up the Rams. Goodbye, guys.